You ever wonder what it actually felt like to live through some huge moment in history? I'm not just talking about the dates and the facts you memorized in school, but the real stuff, the tension, the fear, the hope. Well, it turns out there's a pretty amazing way to travel back in time, and it's all thanks to the power of a really good story. So, get this. What could a Scottish rebellion, a slick heist in 1960s Harlem, and a secret resistance plot in WW2 France possibly have in common? I mean, they sound like they're from completely different planets, right? Well, stick with me, because they're all gateways to the exact same thing. Okay, first up, let's zip back to 1707 Scotland. Picture this. The country is a total powder keg. There are plots, political drama, everyone's freaking out about the new union with England. This is the world of the Vanished Days, a story that drops you right into all that espionage and spycraft on the edge of a massive rebellion. All right, now let's jump way forward in time to 1960s Harlem. We meet this guy, Ray Carney. By day, he's a totally respectable furniture salesman, but he's also got a side hustle that's, let's say, a little crooked. Harlem Shuffle pulls you into this incredible world of heists and cons, and we get to see the city's underbelly through his eyes. And for our last stop, we land right in the middle of World War II France. In the postmistress of Paris, you've got this wealthy American woman who doesn't just sit on the sidelines. Nope, she joins the resistance. She becomes this key figure, using all her wits to smuggle artists and thinkers out of the country, literally right under the noses of the Nazis. Talk about high stakes. So, the big connection is, you guessed it, all three of these are amazing examples of historical fiction. And this is a genre that does something really special. It doesn't just tell you about the past, it drops you right in the middle of it. It takes real historical events and builds this incredible fictional story right on top of that foundation. To really see how this works, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive on one book. For this explainer, our case study is The Berlin Girl. And let me tell you, this novel takes us to a city and a world that is on the absolute verge of collapse. Wow, just listen to that description for a second. That immediately sets the scene, doesn't it? You don't need a textbook to feel the absolute menace in those words. You can just picture it. Summer, 1938. The air is just thick with dread, and the symbols of this terrifying new regime are everywhere. This is the world the story throws us into. So here's the nuts and bolts of the story. The setting is Berlin, right before everything explodes into war. Our hero is Georgie Young, a young reporter, so she's our eyes and ears on the ground. The conflict is just gut-wrenching. She's watching innocent people get dragged from their homes. And the stakes? Well, they couldn't be higher. Do you report the truth when you know it could get you killed? So you have to ask, where does a story like this even come from? Well, authors of historical fiction are kind of like detectives. They have to dig through the past to build their world. And for the Berlin Girl, that means going back to the incredibly fragile, chaotic, and ultimately doomed German state that came right before Hitler, the Weimar Republic. See, after Germany lost World War I, the nation tried to start over. They tried to build this new, modern democracy from the ashes. But the thing is, this republic was born in crisis. It was shaky from day one. And that is the key context. That's the fear and instability that our reporter, Georgie, is walking right into. And just look how fast things went sideways. In 1919, you've got this moment of hope, a new democratic constitution. But boom, just 1 year later, a military group tries to overthrow the whole thing. And then, by 1923, this little-known guy named Adolf Hitler tries to start his own coup. The republic was just constantly under attack from all sides. And this just shows how the system itself was broken. There was this fatal flaw in the Constitution, Article 48, that basically let the president hit a big red button and suspend everyone's civil rights in an emergency. I wonder who might have taken advantage of that later. On top of that, the voting system let tiny extremist parties, like the early Nazis, get their foot in the door. It was a democracy with almost no one willing to defend it. Okay, so we've got the real history, the shaky politics, the violence, the rising hate. Now, let's bring it back to the story and see how these two things, fact and fiction, combine to create something way more powerful than either one could be on its own. This right here, this is the whole magic trick. A history book will tell you about political instability, but a novel like The Berlin Girl makes you feel the atmosphere of fear on the street. The facts tell us about the rise of extremism. The story makes you feel that chilling sense of helplessness. History gives us the dates, but fiction shows us the personal stakes. It translates these massive historical forces into a real human experience. I love this quote from the amazing author Diana Gabaldon because she just nails it. The best historical fiction needs that bedrock research. The facts have to be solid, but it also needs that butterfly's delicate touch with the characters. That's the art. That's what makes you actually care about the people living through those facts. So why does all this matter? I mean, why should we read stories about the past when there's so much going on right now? Well, it turns out these stories are so much more than just a history lesson with a good plot. So here's the big takeaway. These novels are basically empathy machines. They just collapse time. They connect us on a deep human level with people who lived decades, even centuries ago. They remind us that these huge, abstract events were experienced by regular people, just like us. And when we walk a mile in their shoes, we can't help but understand our own world a little better. And that leaves us with one last really interesting question to think about. 100 years from now, when someone wants to understand not just what happened in our time, but what it actually felt like to be here, what are the stories they're going to tell?